Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, just to, restate what's already been stated by HBO, that we saw that finger that was on the southeast side that was active and moving in a northeast direction. Again, it had advanced since yesterday, estimated about 125 yards. And both the flow front, the original flow front, and that finger were active with, burning along the edges in the front with some breakouts here and there. So we're just monitoring that with HBO, and we'll be doing another flight tomorrow morning, and be ready to share the latest observations with you folks tomorrow.
Dan Nicosto with the Star Advertiser. Janet, you still there?
Yes, I am.
Is the leading edge still 0.6 to 0.7 miles away from Wapa'a Street?
Yes, yeah, and the difference in that is, when you're measuring between 2 points, the exact distance is from where, from point A to point B, and so I think one report is 0.6, one is 0.7, and it's either because we're measuring slightly to a slightly different location along the road, or it's a rounding issue, whether we round up or round down.
Gotcha. And are you making a forecast then on how many days, weeks before it reaches Wapa'a Street?
Not at this point because of the slow forward advancement.
Thank you.
Yeah, so part of it may be the fact that we've been in this kind of deflated state. Part of it may also be just the nature of the breakouts at the front, how focused or unfocused they are. The more scattered they tend to be, it tends to result in less focused advancement of the front. And when they do get focused, then that's a kind of a greater advancement. So just kind of the distribution of breakouts at the front may be part of it.
Isn't it true, though, that the less lava that's going through the system, the more chance there is for a breakdown? The longer we're in a deflation, the more opportunity there is for the system to collapse or divert or do something different than when it's full?
Yeah, when we are in these, you do get there would be if you have a lower supply rate, then you do have a greater chance that, say, the tube could break down. But
right.
But what we've seen is that even during these slowdowns in activity, there has always been active breakouts in the general vicinity of the flow front.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that we've had these sustained, persistent breakouts near the flow front means that the tube has basically been sustained, through that period.
And how much lava? Are we still at like half of the amount of lava coming out as we had early on? Early on, there was a tremendous amount of lava, and then at one point it dropped to, I think you guys reported, to about half of what it was. Is that still true?
Yeah, we're still generally low in terms of, compared to several years ago. But yeah, like I said, there's still a sustained supply to this flow front.
Sure. Yeah. Okay, thanks.
If not, then...
I did have one quick question, follow-up. This is Dan Nicosto again. Are any of the breakouts, I don't know how to put this, are any of them likely to overtake the leading edge? In other words, how close is the nearest breakout to being the new front?
Yeah, is this Dan again?
Yeah.
That's entirely possible. The narrow lobe to the southeast of what we were calling the leading edge of the flow is advancing at a rate so that if that continues, it could bypass that leading edge, the former leading edge, and become the lava closest to the Wapa'a Street Cemetery Road.
Hi, Daryl. Tom Callis with the Tribune Herald. Are there still plans to relocate that transfer station? Is that still in place?
Yeah, DEM, Environmental Management, is still working on their plans to relocate, because even if the transfer station, the physical facility, is not directly impacted by the flow, the operations may be based on where the flow goes and the smoke conditions and other hazards. So the Environmental Management team is already looking at alternate sites and making plans to relocate that. And the public will be given notice in advance of when that will happen so they can adjust accordingly.
Have they mentioned if a particular site has been selected yet, or still assessing that?
Yes, they've identified their priority or primary site at this time.
Can I ask, where is that located?
Yeah, it's above the skate park in Pohola, behind the community center.
Okay. And has there been any progress with talks with the Army Corps of Engineers?
I've seen a lot of email communication going back and forth. I'm trying not to, in any way impede or affect those communications. So just as the road is a state highway and the engineering issue with state highways, they've been in direct contact with Corps of Engineers as well as our DPW, and they'll let me know when they have something that they'd like me to share. But right now, I think the engineers are just going back and forth with a lot of correspondence and communication about the options with the highway, and nothing definitive yet to report.
Okay, they're communicating with the state on that, yeah, DOT.
Yes, because it is a state highway, and every Tuesday and Thursday we participate in a statewide video conference with the emergency managers at the state level, including Corps of Engineers. So they've been engaged with state highways and also federal highways on the discussions of any actions or mitigation with Highway 130.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, sure. I'm also still working on the flight restriction issue that we discussed with the press club as well. As this morning, I did talk to State CD one more time about that. We have been playing a little bit of phone and email tag between myself and FAA, so I'm hoping that I'll be able to give you folks a definitive answer very quickly.
Cool. Bob Dewar was telling me that in reading the 137 provision that's in place now, he thought that there was a part there where permits could be filed and flights could be undertaken now without going to 138. Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, when we looked at the NOTAM that's posted for the aircraft operators, and that's also something that is communicated in an official, messaging. I'm not a pilot, but my understanding is that the NOTAM is a bulletin that is made public to all of the air traffic. It specifically refers to 91 137A1 of the CFRs. And A1 specifically limits the air traffic in the area to only those aircraft involved in the disaster relief mission. Under 91-137A2, there are provisions that allow the emergency management organizations, in this case State Civil Defense and our office, the opportunity to provide for some accommodations with certified news persons on the aircraft. So the question that we had posed to the FAA, as we had shared with the press club last week, I think it was that we would be asking from the FAA if their intent was to allow for the other provisions under 137A2 to be applicable, or would they want to amend the NOTAM and TFR to refer to 91-138, which is essentially a code of federal regulations that was amended specifically for Hawaii, which then allows for all of those concessions or accommodations to be considered rather than separate them under, as it is under 137A123, I think it is. So we're still waiting for clarity from FAA to make sure that we don't violate their TFR as well as the conditions of the NOTAM.
And you think you'll probably hear from them the next day or two?
Yeah, I asked also this morning on the conference call. After that, I talked to State CD once more and asked if they don't mind helping reach out to FAA, because they were the original one that made the contact and filed for the requested flight restrictions. So I've asked for their help as well to make contact so we can clear this out.
That's great. Thanks for that, Joe.
Sure.